Hello friends! Today we'll learn how to repeat lines of code multiple times with loops by imagining a lady who has fallen in love for the first time holding a flower. So let's write a new script and name it flower, then override the base node's definition of the ready function. Our imagined lady is holding a flower that has a number of petals, which we will store in a variable, and restrict its type to an integer. Then give it a value of some arbitrary number, let's say 5. We'll also declare another variable named heLovesMe as a boolean, which we will leave with its default value of false. We can start our script by printing out a story about the love-struck lady holding her flower. She removes each petal from the flower one by one, stating either he loves me or he loves me not. First, we need to reduce the number of petals on the flower by 1. So we will start with the number of petals variable, then use the assignment operator to assign the variable a new value. The value we want to assign it is the number it already has, minus 1. We then want to change the value of the boolean variable heLovesMe to be its opposite. So heLovesMe is assigned to not heLovesMe, reversing the value of false to true or vice versa. Next, we can print out the results. He loves me. We may want to encapsulate this part in quotation marks, but if we try to put a quotation mark inside our string, it will instead mark the end of the string. Some special characters like quotation marks can be created inside a string using a backslash. If we write backslash quotation mark, this now represents a quotation mark character, not the end of the string. And we can include another one after the lady's declaration. Let's duplicate this line and change the declaration to say, he loves me not. Another example of a special character we can write using the backslash is the backslash itself. We can also combine the two lines above and separate them with \n, which represents a new line. So they are printed out on two output lines from a single print statement. We now have two possibilities that we want to print out based on the value of our boolean variable. So it would seem that we should wrap these in an if statement. If he loves me, then print this. If he loves me not, then print that. But in cases where if statements are contingent on a single boolean variable to make a minor change, there's a more efficient method. So let's return to the original format. Our declaration will be, he loves me, if he loves me, else he loves me not. This is not the same as an if statement, despite using the same keywords, but is called a ternary operation. Since it does not create a new block of code with an indentation, it is actually executed more efficiently, and is recommended to be used in simple cases like this one. We can actually reduce the size of the variation even more by only changing it to either be an exclamation point, or a space followed by the word not, then the exclamation point. This works for the case if he loves me, but if we change the value to true by default, then we only see not in the other case. Just like mathematics, there is a specific order of operations in which our scripts will execute multiple operations on the same line. Since both the string append and the ternary if are both operators, one must be executed before the other, and in this case it will be the string append. And just like in mathematics, brackets are always the first to be executed. So we can wrap any operation in brackets to ensure it will be executed first in the order of operations. Wrapping our ternary statement in brackets, it will now run before the string append and give us our expected result. So now we have our block of code which needs to repeat for as long as the flower still has petals. Using the keyword while, much like an if statement, we can repeat an indented block of code as long as the condition remains true. The condition in this case being that the number of petals on the flower is not 0. Whatever the number of petals on the flower is, it will be reduced by 1 each time. Then after the print statement, The logical flow of this script will return to the beginning of the while loop to check the condition again. When the number of petals reaches 0, the condition is no longer met, and the loop breaks, proceeding with the remainder of the script if there is any. So let's write a short conclusion to our story based on the results. She stands up with tears in her eyes. But based on the final value of he loves me, she's either happy or sad, and we will print out the different final phrase. Running this scene, we can see our story printed out in the output panel, and with 5 petals, the lady is happy. If we change the number of petals to 6, then we get a different result since the loop repeated 6 times instead of 5. But what happens if we change the number of petals on the flower to 0? The loop doesn't run at all, and the love was doomed from the beginning. I don't recommend following this example, but just watch what happens if we give the flower a negative number of petals. While this is realistically impossible, in our code it is very problematic. Since the condition of our while loop will never be met, it will never break, and the script is trapped inside it, never finishing. This is an infinite loop and should be avoided at all costs. In this case, we can prevent the infinite loop by changing our condition to be if the number of petals is greater than 0, since a negative number will still break the loop. We can use another operator when reducing the number of petals as a shortcut. Removing the need to write the name of our variable twice, we can perform simple mathematical operations on our number variables using a special assignment operator. In this case, the minus equals operator can change this line of code to number of petals minus equals 1. These shortcuts exist for all basic arithmetic operations, plus equals, multiply equals, or divide equals, and can be used with any number or variable as the other operand. There is one more operator that exists for basic arithmetic as well, the modulus operator, represented by the percentage sign. Modulus performs a division operation, but doesn't return the quotient as the result like the division operator does. Instead, it returns the remainder of the division. This entire script, other than the story being told, is really just determining if the number of petals on the flower is an even or odd number, but is doing so in the most inefficient way possible, counting down each individual petal. So let's comment out the entire while loop and instead use modulus to speed up the process. Knowing that all even numbers are divisible by 2, we can use number of petals modulus 2. The only possible result as a remainder of this division will either be 0 if the number of petals is even, or 1 if the number of petals is odd. So our script could be simplified to just if the number of petals modulus 2 is equal to 1, then the lady is happy. Otherwise, she's sad. And since we understand how integers are interpreted as conditions, we don't even need to perform the comparison operation here, and can just shorten it to if number of petals modulus 2. The result of the modulus operation could be assigned directly to the Boolean variable to get the same result without the need for an if statement, and the 0 or 1 will automatically be converted to false or true accordingly. And we could go further by removing the variable and just using the modulus operation directly inside the ternary statement. In the next lesson, we'll learn about collections of related variables. I'll see you in the next lesson.